Indian rural market. India's economic change story of the last 20 years has made as much impact on its rural landscape as it has on its urban landscape. Collectively, all over India's rural heartland and its teeming cities, India appears to be redying for an even more impressive era of economic growth. Today, a staggering 12% of the world's population resides in India's rural areas. There is no question that India's rural market have become a powerful economic engine. The rural multiplier effect is what exactly policymakers and business leaders alike. For every new opportunity for a villager to use his mobile phone to protect his crops, there is a knock on him to purchase a small refrigerator or a motorcycle. There is a growing realization that global investment and growth will increasingly come from rural population as their savings translate into consumption. But rural India's contributions to the nation's economic success and the obvious potential for profitable growth are just a part of the promise of wholehearted commitment to doing business beyond to city centers and suburbs. India's rural markets present opportunities that companies seeking to become high performance business cannot afford to ignore. But the size and scale of those markets have been offset by concerns about the profitability of the market and durability of rural demand. In India, 1.1 billion people, approximately 75% live in rural villages. Now, though there is abundant evidence to indicate that businesses are seeing more promises in India's hinterland, there are several strong regional and microeconomic reasons for greater confidence. There are 5 reasons for greater business confidences in rural India. The first one is about 55% of manufacturing GDP is rural. Nearly 75% of new factories built in last decade were in rural areas, and rural factories account for 70% of all new manufacturing jobs. Industrial development in rural India has increased household purchasing power and economic stability. Rural India accounts for about 50% of India's gross domestic product GDP and nearly 70% of India's population. This enormous opportunity has been clear for a decade or more. Second one, the increase in procurement prices is putting more money into the bands of the rural population. A series of good harvest on the back of good monsoon has accelerated rural employment in agriculture and allied activities. The minimum price that farmers earn on produce sold to the government, but the profit is more in open markets. Third one, between 2009 and 2012, rural consumption per person grew at 19% per annum, 2% prints higher than its urban counterparts. In incremental terms, spending in rural India during these 2 years was American standard $69 billion, significantly higher than USD 55 billion by urban populations. Policy measures such as the National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, which guarantees 100 days of employment to one member of every rural household have helped to reduce rural underemployment and raised wages. The official minimum average per day wage paid under NREGS has increased from INR rupees 65 in 2006 to 2007 to INR 100 in 2011 and 2012, with total outlay increasing from US dollar 2.5 billion in 2006 and 7 to US dollar 8.91 billion in 2011 and 2012. The increase in rural purchasing power is reflected in many ways. As income rises, rural consumption shifts from necessities to discretionary goods and lifestyle products, including mobile phones, television sets, and two-wheelers. According to research done by National Sample Survey of India, nearly 42% of rural households owned a television in 2009 and 10. Similarly, 14% of rural households had a two-wheeler in 2009 and 10, twice the population during 2004 and 2005. Rural consumers are having been trading up, and their consumption basket is beginning to mirror that of the urban consumer. Premium products are replacing entry-level versions, and commodities are giving way to branded products. Nielsen estimates that the fast-moving consumer goods market in rural India will hit United States dollar of 100 billion by 2005, up from US dollar 12 billion currently. Moreover, the government's efforts to improve the efficiency welfare programs with cash transfers will further boost rural consumption. It plans to deposit US dollar 570 billion in the account of 100 million poor families by 2014 and 2015. The macroeconomic data clearly point to the soaring potential of India's non-urban market. But the statistics do not give clues to how interested business leaders might be in the opportunities at hand, nor do they say whether companies are prepared to make the kind of investments that are required to unlock long-term values from rural markets. Issues such as an adequate infrastructure, low literacy, and high level of property raise serious questions marks about the sustainability of the rural opportunity. And this is where the rural opportunity discussion takes a sharp turn. While on the one hand, the rural markets appears as an ocean of untapped business opportunities, at the same time, a possible low return on extremely high efforts seems to be the first hurdle that companies have faced. Read more about the various tangible and intangible challenges that rural markets have brought to Indian broad rooms in our next series. Fast pace of technology advanced every sphere of social, political, cultural life, produce, reduce, cost, distribute, and expects higher profits. The focus is on tapping the rural markets. The urban markets are saturated, lied to look rural markets. Rural marketing has become the latest mantra of most corporate, even MNCs are eyeing rural markets to capture the large Indian market. The rural market consists 70% of population, twice as entire market of USA, and would become bigger than total consumer market in country like South Korea and Canada in another 20 years. 742 million Indians, constituting 130 million households, resides in 63,08,365 villages according to 2011 census data. The size of the rural market itself speaks of its potential. The current marketing environment and economic scenario have brought the corporate under contemporary roofs of modern India, which is challenging the current standard of segmenting, targeting, and reaching the customers. Realistically, India as a nation has come a long way from the place where only urban population, which constitutes 20% of responsible for 80% of other profit. The companies are looking for new opportunities and avenues as they are witnessing a decline in their growth rates in urban markets due to market situation, and they do have a huge untouched and untapped rural Indian market. The driving force for this is rural youth who are educated, have access to technology, and have openness to change. Also, rural markets have acquired a significance as the overall growth of economy has resulted into substantial increase in the purchasing power of the rural communities. A survey by India's premier economic research entity, National Council for Applied Economic Research, indicates that rise in rural economy is keeping pace with the rise in urban incomes. The rural middle class is growing at 12%, close to the urban middle class, which is growing at 13%. Punjab, Kerala, Haryana, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, and Maharashtra are considered highly prosperous states. According to 2001 census, 83.3% of the Indian villages have the population less than 2,000. The literacy rate was less earlier to 1980. From 1981 to 2001, the literacy rate increased from 36 to 59%. Now the rate has been crossed 65%. Almost 76% of the rural population depends on cultivation or wages for their living. In terms of occupation, consumption, and buying behavior change permanently from urban to rural in location with population more than 10,000. Rural marketing in modern India. Rural marketing is defined as a function that manages all activities involved in assessing, stimulating, and converting the purchasing power of rural consumers into an effective demand for specific products and services, and moving these products and services to the people in rural areas to create satisfaction and better standard of living, and thereby achieving organizational goals. The process should be able to straddle the attitudinal and socio-economic disparity between the urban and rural customers. A major part of rural marketing includes the transactions of urban marketers who sell their goods and services in rural areas like pesticides, fertilizers, seeds, FMCG products, tractors, bicycles, consumer durable, and so on. They are essential for their primary activity. In turn, rural marketer, agriculturists seeks to sell their products in urban market. Seeds, fruits, vegetables, and many other forest products and perishable products of marketing like take place. McKinsey report of 2007 on the rise in the consumer market in India predicts that in 20 years the rural Indian market will be larger than the total consumer markets in countries such as South Korea or Canada today, and almost 4 times the size of today's urban market. Estimated the size of the rural market at $577 billion. The immense potential of the rural markets can be realized if the marketers understand this market. The huge untapped needs of the rural mass, the growing rural economy, and the increasing media penetration and brand awareness make this market extremely attractive to marketers. Large population, 742 million Indians constituting 138 million households resides in 63,08,365 villages will speak the size of market itself as potential. Growth in market. The market has been growing 3 to 4% per annum, adding more than 1 million new consumer every year. Consumer is brand level and understand symbols better. View it as you may. Few people dispute that the rural market is massive. According to Singh, 12.2% of the world's consumer live in India. Rural households from 72% of the total households. This puts the rural market 720 million customers. Gupta of TSMG extrapolates the census 2001 members and come with an estimate of 790 million. Total income in rural India is expected to increase from around $220 billion in 2004 and 5 to $425 billion by 2010 and 11. Penetration in rural India. Today's rural children and young will grow up in an environment where they have information access to education opportunities, exam results, career counseling, job opportunities, government schemes and services, health and legal advice and services and informations and records, mandi prices, weather forecast, bank loans, livelihood adaptations, and if television could change the language of brand communication in rural India. Affordable web connectivity through various types of communication hubs will surely impact the currency of information exchange. As the electronic ethos and its 14 culture moves into rural India, the possibilities of change are becoming visible. Impact of globalization. The farmers, students, and common men in villages have direct connection with foreign countries for their transactions. The prices, employment, and business strategies are quickly known by cell phones. The lifestyle of rural India is not static, it is gone changing. Income. The agriculture progress made rural farmers to earn more income and created more purchasing power. Markets. The village markets have improved lot due to road network facility. The government of goods and services is also very fast with more supply. Consumer. The consumer of the village has become literate and aware of all sorts of up and downs in the urban market. Large variety of products, youngsters are involved in business. Competition. Rural marketers are competitors to urban people. New cars, bikes, and all sorts of modern facilities are also found in the villages. Employment. There are many government schemes in rural areas to provide employment to rural youth. Cooperative banks and public sector banks are giving loans to youth to start any petty business in the village. Green Revolution. Dr. Swaminathan, the father of the Green Revolution, helped rural India to achieve self-sufficiency since 1955. At present, India produces 299 million tons of food grains annually. Government policies. Government is helping in every sector. White revolution, blue revolution, yellow revolution is made India more progressive. Today every villager is self-sufficient in getting loan from the government. Farmers get seeds, fertilizers very easily. Green card, credit cards are also given to our farmers. Indian agriculture products are exported with more demand. Mass media is giving very good education to our farmers and youngsters to earn more income. Still, Indian villagers lack in many modern techniques due to blind belief. The monthly income of every villager rises from rupees 2,000 to rupees 10,000, which is the indication of rural progress. Television media helps the marketers very much to know the day-to-day happening. Marketers can benefit most if they can make the rural people feel that they value them as their customer. The key success to an effective rural marketing is that it should be firmly grounded in rural tradition, rural perspectives, rural mentality, and their values. It requires complete focus on local language, culture, customs, and modes of communication. It is obvious that regional languages are preferred in marketing. The success of rural marketing depends on the appropriate localization of campaigns, and regional language play an important part in it. The rural consumer usually do not experiment with a new product unless something triggering them. The most influential triggering factor is positive feedback about the product from others.